Hello, you,
We're playing across the country, rocking the USA. We're having a good time, rocking and rolling away. And we ain't gonna stop till we reach California. They say the LA women like to have a lot of fun. We're gonna get ourselves some women there and know we'll get them one by one. And we'll keep on playing till we reach a California sun. Rock, 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 roll away. We're gonna rock, 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 USA. We're gonna rock, 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 roll away. We're gonna rock, 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 USA. We're gonna keep on rocking and rolling till we reach LA. Keep on rocking and rolling in the USA.
hello and welcome to yet a new episode of Daniel's Videos and etc. Today, guys, we're going to be looking at the Olympus Evolt E-510 DSLR camera and some of its little bit of accessories. So, I got this camera for photo 2 that I'm taking in high school, about 10th grade, so yep, getting there, almost graduating, not really. Yeah, that's gonna happen. So anyway, guys, see right here, this is the Olympus, like I said, E510. It's an Evolt, and this camera, I gotta get a wide angle lens on this camera really bad. Not this one, but the one I'm recording this video with. But anyway, this camera is pretty cool. So like I said, it's the Olympus E510. It's got image stabilization, and it is 10 megapixels, as stated at the bottom of the corner. And it came with the Zucchio digital ED lens, 14 to 42 millimeter focal length. So it comes with that, mine did at least, and it's got a lot of settings on it, which I will get to in about a couple moments here. It come with the lens cap, which is good, but it did not come with the body cap for the camera, nor did it come with the black lens cap for this camera. So yeah, it just didn't come with this cap, nor did it come with the cap for the body. One thing to keep in mind is this uses a 4x3 mount instead of like your typical Samsung or typical Canon and Nikon mounts. I don't know what those mounts would be, but this one uses a 4x3 mount. So that's something to keep in mind when you're buying some new lens for this camera. Is you need to get in the 4x3 mount or something that's compatible with Olympus E5 series cameras. And this lens right here, yeah, it did come with the camera, like I said, and it's a pretty good lens for the price. I believe you can get this for like 20 or 30 bucks used at a Dorma camera. I'll provide that in the link below. But I got this camera at used at a website called B&H Photo. And I've been to that site before, and my photography teacher also recommends that site, but I know the site. So, yeah. But basically, they sold this very camera for $179.95 used, which is pretty good for the price, especially when it comes with the lens. And its rating on that site was 8+, which means minor wear on the camera itself, like just from using it for very long. But I don't see anything wrong with the outside of it at all, so they may have underrated it, quite honestly. So I think this would be like a 9 or 9+ in its quality. Just giving it a 9 because it's not brand new. This camera was actually introduced back in 2007, so it's actually older than my iMac, which I am surprised. This camera also came with the hot shoe plug, so to keep it from dust and stuff entering your hot shoe. So yeah, the lens diameter is 58 millimeters, and can fit any 58 millimeter lens filter over it. So I ordered a couple of filters I'll be showing in another video. Currently there's going to be a video for a timer I'm going to show you guys about, and a couple of lens or filter like close-up lenses and macro lenses. Those are going to be in the next video, which I am going to be shooting today. So keep that in mind, that they're going to be shot in the same day, but they're going to be aired on different weeks. But anyway, if you do see fingerprints, that's because my brother, he accidentally touched the lens a few times. It's okay. As long as you don't scratch the lens, it's fine. The camera also comes with a infrared thingy in the handle right here for the external shutter button you can get as an accessory for this camera. The problem is it's infrared and it's got, of course, a limited range where you can point the remote at it. So that can be an issue. So that's pretty much the main reason why I got this external shutter button that will plug into the USB port right here on the front. So that's pretty neat. Anyway, guys, the camera comes with the built-in flash, which you can actually adjust the brightness when it takes the picture. It has a viewfinder, which I should show you because I can't open that. Alright, anyway. It comes with a viewfinder. As you can see it. There you go. And mine also came with the neck strap, as well as it came with the charger here. It's the original Olympus BCM-2 battery, lithium-ion battery charger, whatever you pronounce that, I believe. Came with the US plug, very short, but that's fine. Came with the battery, of course. I don't know if it's brand new battery or replaced one, but this is the battery for such camera. This is model number PS-BLM1, 1500 milliamp hour battery and 7.2 volts. Of course, it comes with the USB. Came with this gray cable. I was actually expecting it to be black for some reason, because that's just everything in this camera kit's black. The camera and the charger and the battery, I thought this would be black, and the lens cap, but the lens cap is actually not original, so that is something needs to be said about that. I'm just kidding, it doesn't have to. So the USB port right here is here. You can plug in your shutter. You can plug the USB into the computer. You can your shutter button, I meant. You can also plug this into a printer and print stuff from it. I was not able to try that feature as it did not work on the HP 8600 in my dad's room. So that doesn't seem to work very well with that. But as long as you connect the camera as a storage device and you can print photos off of the camera from the printer, because it's a smart printer. But anyway, this can also be used with video out. My camera did not come with video out, so that's fine. You can get replacements, of course, on eBay, so I'm going to order one soon. So yeah, it comes with a ubiquitous tripod mount. I don't know what the measurement is. I will post that in the video. It is made in China, and that's the battery door. So I'm going to go ahead and put the battery in. So there's your battery. Just pop it in upside down like that. Stick it in. There you go. That clips up. When the battery is inserted, and to get it out, you just push it down and the battery kind of pops out. Close it. And there you go. You're good to go. Now, just keep in mind that the battery door here is not springed or anything, so you have to actually open it. It doesn't like spring open. But it's okay. That's fine. So yeah, here we go. We're going to go ahead and turn this camera on. So yeah, let's go ahead and turn it on. So the camera, when you turn it on, there's a blue light on the top here that blinks, and that actually is cleaning off the image sensor when you turn it on. For some whatever reason in the manual, and I know that they keep this simple for people in the manual, but they call the image sensor an image pickup device, which is a little irritating, but that's fine. But yeah, that light blinking means it's cleaning the image sensor off of any dust. It's like ultrasonic cleaning or something like that. By the way, this camera does take compact flash and micro drive. I have an 8GB SanDisk Ultra compact flash in there, and it also takes Olympus XD picture cards, which I don't have. And unfortunately, to use some of the features in this camera, you will need to use a picture card, the Olympus picture card. For example, if you wanted to do panorama, you need the picture card for that. But pretty much most of the other settings, you could use the compact flash for. Currently, it looks like it's set in automatic mode, which I will set in our P mode manual because I prefer using that, as I'm like born and raised on that pretty much as a photographer. So ISO ranges anywhere from 100 to 1600. Not the best selection, but it's pretty good considering the camera's age. And some other things I noticed with this camera is, I just took a picture of the floor. Some of the other things I noticed with this camera is it can be a problem with long exposures at night, as you can get a lot of digital noise if you're not careful enough. So it's best to have the noise reduction on and noise filter set to high when you're doing long exposures. So keep that in mind, guys. So it can be a problem with this camera. So it looks like I just took a picture and this thing won't want to come back on. It's probably taking a long exposure. Alright guys, hold on a second. Oh, there's my problem. I had it set to 60 seconds, so I'm going to switch that on over to quicker. Okay. So I have this currently set at, in bus when you're taking long exposure, it's best to have it set to RAW. Well, yeah, set it RAW. I have it set to RAW plus super high quality because I want to be able to read it on my iPad. Now, one thing to keep in mind is Olympus says you cannot read the raw file. If you do a RAW picture in this camera, Olympus says you cannot read that file on the computer unless you have their software. But it sounds like I may have broken that rule because I was able to read that image file fine on Floater 288 running Ubuntu 15.04. So they failed on that. So Ubuntu can read it. That's with Ubuntu's like Shotwell Viewer. You can read it with Shotwell Viewer. So there you go. Camera has playback, trash can, menu, and info. And in menu, there's a lot you can do here. You can have 2 setting presets right here. You can set 2 presets to change the different settings on the fly if you're if you need to change it to black and white mode or something. But yeah, it's got raw and high quality, standard quality, and super high quality, and it also has raw combined with those 3 qualities I mentioned. It also can set the white balance. You can set the white balance manually. As you can see right here, the noise filter is currently on, so that's something to keep in mind when you're taking pictures. But there is quite a lot of settings in this camera that can be really good. You can even set the high quality and standard quality compression. But for standard quality, you can only set, for high quality, you can only set the compression, but standard quality, you can set the resolution and compression. So that is also a good feature. But yeah, when you're doing long exposures, just keep in mind that you should set it to RAW. And if you happen to be running Ubuntu on your computer, then you're good to go. I don't know how it'll work on Windows if it does, so keep that in mind that I know it works on Ubuntu and it works fine. But that's pretty good. So this thing does come with an image stabilization, which I can get out of the menu. I can show you guys. It comes with image stabilization. Even can set the focal length of the lens. But 1 and 2, that's it to 2, and it works pretty well. I gotta stop the plate there. Balance, like I said, can automatically be set. And there you go. Sunlight, shade around the house, cloudy day, incandescent bulb, fluorescent 1, 2, and 3. And you can set calibration mode, like take a picture of a white piece of paper and it'll calibrate from there. And you can also manually set the white balance. And you can also set it to auto, but usually it's best to have it set for one of these presetted settings. You can set the metering mode. I have mine set to all point, so. And ISO, like I said, autofocus. I have mine set to manual focus, but if you hit this button right here, it will automatically focus on whatever you're looking at. And this button I have set to display what the lens will look like at the current aperture. So I have that set to there. And this button will activate live preview so you can see what you're looking at through the monitor. As you can see, it brings up the lens, and what's cool is this camera actually shows you what the picture will look like at the current settings it's at. So you can see that it's really dark right now and that lens cap is off. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust the shutter speed to lower 1 so I can take the picture, and I will adjust the aperture to the lowest as possible. Unfortunately, that's 3.7 right now. It can go down to 3.5, but it's slightly zoomed in, so giddy up. Anyway, so if I set the shutter speed to a little bit lower, you can see this camera starts showing the picture. And if I go even lower, it's going to start getting really bright. Well, there's a point where it actually stops getting bright, but it would get bright if you kept going. But yeah. So right here, that's your light meter when you're in this mode right here. Of course, you want to get it to 0 at 1/8 of a second at aperture 3.8, which that was weird because it was at 3.7. But regardless, that would be the light meter. And when you're not in live mode, the light meter is this thing right here. And we'll also show you the number you should align it to. So, yep, This camera, this is the basic information settings. If you click info again, it gets a little more complex and it shows you the different adjustments you can make on the fly. You just hit OK, and then you just move to the setting you want to change. Like for example, I want to do two flashes in one exposure, or red eye reduction flash, or no flash at all when it's opened. And again, you can change the brightness of the flash, so that's good. And you can change the compensation for the flash, if I believe that's what that is. Yeah, it is. Compact flash card, changing the resolution on the fly, manual focusing, metering, focal centering, whatever, multiple picture shootings, white balance compensation, color naturals, like changing it to monotone, and of course it'll tell you how many pictures you'll have left to take at the current resolution you are at. And with raw plus super high quality, that's 167. But with super high quality only, I believe it's really high. I think it's like 700 left, I believe, in this case. I did take a lot of pictures already. And you can change it to Adobe RGB as well as sRGB, as it is currently now. So that is a great camera. So this camera, of course, its shutter speed ranges anywhere from bulb, of course, to the next longest would be 60 seconds or a minute, and it can range all the way up to 1/4000th of a second. So that's really good. And with this lens on here, I believe the aperture goes anywhere from f3.5 to f22, I believe. Yep, f22. And that's at the current zoom in right now. But yeah. You can change the flash settings right here with this button, and you can change the how you're taking the picture, timer, multiple pictures, shutter button. You change that with this button right here. And yep, to open the shutter, you just open the flash though, you click this button, and you can use the same button to activate the flash menu. So that's very neat. Right here, this button is used to change the aperture of the lens. Right here, press and hold it, and then you just turn the wheel down here. When you want to change the shutter speed, you just turn the wheel right here. And this can be switched, of course, vice versa. And when I have it set to P or auto, I have it. This button is not used, and this button, this shutter wheel right here, is used to compensate for the amount of light you need to get a good picture. So that's what that use is. I have it set for it right now. So here's your shutter button. And manual zooming, of course, you need to manually zoom in because it's just best all around to just manually zoom in. Now there is not a problem, but a little bit of a heads up when you get this kind of camera with this kind of lens. The lens here is actually an infinite moving switch, and how it adjusts the focus is it has a motor inside of it, and as you turn the wheel, the motor moves to adjust your focus. And that can be a bit of a problem because it can be a little bit delayed and it is a little slower than using an actual focus ring that is directly linked to the camera lens. But yeah, that's okay. It can be a little tedious. It's not as quick, but it does the job and it works. So this camera, I think, is pretty nice, what you get for the value. And I think it's a perfect camera to get for when you're starting a new year at high school, for like a Photo 2 class, or any class that you're working with DSLR cameras. So this is a good camera to have. I will provide a link for the B&H listing. When I bought this camera, the listing didn't go down. It said that they will notify anybody who buys this camera that there will be more in stock. So keep that in mind, that this camera is not like a one-time thing on B&H. I believe you can buy more, and I will correct myself when editing the video if that's not the case. So unfortunately, as of when I make this video, my internet is down, so I can't check that right now, nor I won't be able to check it until much later. So probably by the time this video is uploaded, I would already have that information by then. But regardless, this is a really good camera, pretty good for the price, and of course, it's just plain cool. Keep in mind though, when doing long exposures, like I said, keep in mind that you have it set to RAW, and you have the noise filter on and noise reduction set to high. Just that will help a lot, and it does. Also keep in mind that you can edit the photos that come out of the camera, maybe with like GIMP, and you can remove the digital noise with editing, and there's some software you can buy that automatically removes digital noise. But just keep that in mind, that you can edit it out, and don't be so don't frown the camera so much. I mean, like, the camera, this is pretty good for its price, and keeping in mind that it's really old, like 8 years old plus. So that is something to keep in mind about when you buy this camera. It's not new. And yeah, so this camera, by the way, does come with a you can get a camera pack that comes with 2 lenses, this one and a slightly bigger one. I forget what the other one is measured in, but I will check that again also on the internet. Of course, you can buy different lenses for it, but just keep in mind that it uses that 4x3 mount. So, yep. Yeah, that is, I guess that is it for this episode of Daniel's Videos and Etc., guys. I hope you liked the video. Like if you like it, dislike if you hated it. I don't know, but the camera is really neat here, and of course you can get stuff for it. Alrighty, guys, before we go here, the battery charger here is universal, so you can use this, or the one I'm holding here is compatible with... Interesting, actually, I don't know this was Japanese at the bottom, but it says right here that the battery is compatible with 100, or the charger is compatible with anywhere between 100 volts to 240 volts, and the output does change depending on the voltage. So I believe charging may be faster either way, I believe. I don't know. I don't know exactly what that... Oh, wait, never mind. There's an English version down here. But yeah, I don't know what that would mean in English. So if you guys could translate that, this part here, I'm assuming it's similar to what's down here, but it looks a little more detailed up here. Alrighty, guys. So I guess that is it for this episode of Daniel's Videos and Etc. Like, subscribe, favorite, do whatever it is you do on YouTube to make the video better or worse. Guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one, where I might be talking about the shutter release cable and eventually talking about macro lenses and close-up lenses with this camera. I plan to make a lot of videos involving this camera. So, alright guys, that's just a heads up, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So, see you guys later.